And welcome back to Matchday Minds. It's a brand new episode today. Before we start, please can you make sure you follow all of the socials down below. As you can see here, we got our X handle, our Instagram, and our YouTube. Please follow, turn notifications on, like, subscribe, and share to everyone so you do not miss out on any new episodes. Now, as we begin, you can clearly see it is just me today. There's no Kieran, but I thought it's absolutely fine. Me personally being a United fan, as I may not show it online, um, we're going to do a tier list ranking. You may think, oh, what of? Every United player ever? Nope. We are just going to focus on all the signings or all the major signings post Sir Alex Ferguson. As a whole, it's been disastrous for United. I mean, there has been some success, i.e., just winning a couple of trophies and maybe a European trophy in between, but not at the standard as United have been within the domination era of the Scot. Um, do I believe we will get back to that point? Probably not, but you never know. Ruben has a lot on his hands, and there have been many a manager. So many a manager comes with a lot of transfers, and there's been a lot of transfers within this time. So I feel like we will go through all the signings uh, in timeline order, chronological order. So the first manager post Sir Alex was a close friend of his, a fellow Scotsman, and it was David Moyes. So I feel like we'll go through David Moyes first, and then we'll go from there. So the first player post Sir Alex Ferguson was Marouane Fellaini. Now, he was a fan favourite. Was I a fan of him? Hindsight is a wonderful thing because I'll probably say no, he wasn't amazing, but he did come in with like clutch goals. He was the target man in the box when we needed to just punt it in, backstick, and he get his afro on it. But his overall performances weren't really what you expect when he was like a dominant force in Everton uh, with Moyes. He was like a centre forward, centre attacking mid type player. Not like the playmaker, but he was like the focal point, a target man, as you would say, like a shadow striker. But he was utilized more as a DM in his latter stages. I just don't think that was where he was profiled at. But for the cost that he came in at was about £28 million. Um, I mean, like it wasn't awful for pricing, but I don't know how long he had on his contract at that point. But the tier listing that we've got is S tier, which is perfect, like unreal. A, which is good, great. B, good, could be better. C, mid. D, like pants, worst signing ever. And then pending, I've just put for the new signings because it's kind of hard to judge this early on, but we can always review this later. Marouane Fellaini, I feel C for now, just because I don't think he was as high profile as we were expecting. The money was okay, but like he just wasn't like the dominant midfielder that we could have got. I mean, like on Moyes' shortlist, which was alleged, there was Toni Kroos and Bale and players like this, which were linked to come. I'd rather have those over Fellaini, but speaking of midfielders, we'll move on to our next player. It was Juan Mata. Came in from Chelsea. I would say he was like a very good player at Chelsea, like playing in that 10 position. But he came over to United, and he did stay for a while actually. He only left like a couple of seasons ago, so his value for money at £37 million, I'd say we got use out of it, but his appearances did like go down a lot um, during the latter stages, but he was utilised more of a right winger in some states, and it doesn't suit him, so he just got phased out of the team. So I feel we'll kind of have to put it in the same category as Fellaini, really. Like, he wasn't amazing. I feel like we had better tens and eights than him over the years. We'll see how it goes. I might change my mind from there, but they were these two were the main like signings in that era we had um, Varela as well, which and Janko, which I don't think I've ever actually seen play for United in a men's team. But those two, again, you can't really judge them because they're just youth products. But I can't really give them any higher than a D. But moving on, the next manager was Louis van Gaal. I mean, this was talked to be like a good manager because this was just after the World Cup and Netherlands did do a very good job. I mean, there were some memorable goals like the Van Persie header, etc., etc. So he was coming to be like the tactician. The window that he had, I would say, on paper, you would think would challenge for like top four. I mean, the number one, Angel Di Maria, um, British transfer record at the time, I believe. Um, didn't actually do as bad as people think during his first season. I mean, he did get quite a lot of goals and assists at the time, but it just ended so bad. But everyone, I think a lot of United fans would probably put him in D, but I would still probably put him on the same level as like the Fellaini and Mata. I don't think it was as bad, but yeah, I did like him at United. I feel like I think he also got played on the wing as well, which didn't suit him. He needed to play in the middle, but it was just kind of it just wasn't a great time at United for him to sign. I think if he signed a bit later, if he was younger, it's really hard to like shoehorn it in. But the next player would be Ander Herrera. Now, this player I would say is again a fan favorite. I mean, the most memorable game he had would be the man marking of Hazard, which was hilarious. But I do feel like he put his heart on his sleeve and played for the badge, and he had some very good performances. I do think his time at United was a bit better than a 3 and C, so I think like I would put him in B. The next player would be Luke Shaw. Now, at the time, the youngest, the most expensive teenager at £27 million. Now, he has made a decade at United already, which is absolutely crazy to think. But how has he been? Now, he had his best season probably under Ten Hag, I would say, in a United shirt because he did obviously had that horrible leg break, but he has missed so many games through injury. Like so many games through injury. Now, would I say he's an amazing signing? No. We could have and should have probably replaced Luke Shaw a lot earlier, but I feel like he would have to go in the C pile because you, you can't be this inconsistent. He's shown glimpse of what player he can be, but he just can't stay fit, and like availability is the best ability that you can offer. So I would say, yeah, C kind of has to be the fairing because he's not been the worst signing, but I wouldn't say better than Ander Herrera. The next player was Marcos Rojo. Um, I feel like this C pile is just going to be absolutely filled. Um, Surprisingly, for a hot-headed South American, no red cards for United, but him and Chris Smalling did form a very good partnership at some point. But was he B level? I'd probably say no. He was quite versatile, playing as centre back and left back, as well as the next player. So I feel like I just have to be straight on this one. Like he should have left a lot earlier than he did. So I will just have to put him in C. And I won't go over it too much as well, but Daily Blend as well. I mean, I was a big fan of him. I feel like he was underrated at certain points in the spell when Van Gaal was near the end of his tenure. Um, did win some trophies, those couple players, so That's the only benefit. If I had to, I would probably play Luke Shaw, probably that end. I probably have to have it in order. So Luke Shaw at the higher end of C, and Fellaini in the mid section. I'll play around with it later. We'll see how many more players we add into C. But the next player was probably the definition of panic buy. I remember this being in the January transfer window and seeing this last minute signing. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop it in D because you could probably think of who I'm putting there. But it's Falcao. He was terrible. Injuries, just not many goals. But it's quite frustrating because Falcao was like a monster at the likes of Monaco and Atletico Madrid as well. So you think, oh, Falcao, you come in and just score goals. Doesn't have to score like 25 plus as you would want, but just didn't work out, and it was just a panic buy. Buying an injury prone striker was just terrible. Um, Again with this next player, Victor Valdez, we got on a free. Um, he was brought in to be the backup goalkeeper. But obviously, he must have thought he would challenge for the number one spot. But unfortunately, David De Gea was kind of the best goalkeeper, if not one of the best goalkeepers in the world at that time. So yeah, he was going to struggle for game time, and obviously just left after like a year. So yeah, terrible. And then a couple players we had El Fattori again, another youth prospect I never saw play. And unfortunately, Milinkovic Savic as well. We signed him when he was like a prospect. I think there was issues with getting like clearance for his visa, so he kind of had to leave. But you never know. Like when um, he could have been the number one fighting with David De Gea at the time, but he was linked back at United after the Onana situation, him being terrible. But we'll get onto that. Um, yeah, so that was Van Gaal's first tenure. The window not amazing. I mean, Angel Di Maria probably the profile signing there. But his second window, he had arguably the hottest prospect coming out of France at the time, and it was Anthony Martial. I mean, everyone knows all about the Ballon d'Or clause, etc., etc. He came in at a very young age, scoring on his debut. I was a massive fan of him, and on his day, he probably would have been one of the better strikers in the league. I feel. He did start off on the left a little bit, and then migrated his way towards the number 9 position. But again, it's just the injuries that let him down. I he was like the Mbappe before Mbappe, and he signed for United, and he had shown glimpse of him being a prolific goal scorer. I mean, the COVID era was probably when uh, Mason Greenwood and Rashford and him were like the highest scoring trio in all of Europe. So he can be a good striker, but unfortunately, the injuries just let him down. And I will have to put him in the top end of C because I don't think he was a utter failure. Um, I might put him B for now. This is just my opinion. I do think he was an amazing player. You may disagree tens of thousands of times, but I personally think he was perfect. He was the number 9 that you wanted, but he just couldn't stay fit. Um, the next player was probably the most disappointed I've been with a player. A, because I was a huge fan. Like, this player made me buy the kit of the team he played for and watch a lot of games before he signed for United. And when he did sign for United, I was buzzing. But attitude problems was the downfall of this player. I do think he will have to go in as a failure, and that is Memphis Depay. He did show a little glimpse of what he could do, especially in his Europa League run, but my God, Rooney tried telling him like being the captain of United, just listen to Skipper. Don't be all flashy. And what does he do? Exactly that. So I do think he was probably just a failure. But it would probably be the high end of failure just because he wasn't as bad as the youth prospects. I can't really give too much on those, so we have to sit there. Actually, yeah, fuck, I'll be the worst one. The next player would be Morgan Schneiderlin. Again, you have to go as a failure just because it just ended so quickly. Southampton had a gem of a DM. He was linked with Arsenal, he was linked with United, probably linked with every single top Premier League side. And he just came to United and just did nothing. Absolutely nothing. He struggled. I don't know if it was just the club size or anything, but struggled. And I thought this would have been our Kante moment before Kante. Like, if you watched Southampton during this era, they were high flying, finishing in the top half of the table. And Schneiderlin was a part of that. And you would ask any Saints fan if you would take him back. Yes, you would. They've done it with Romeo, they can do it with Schneiderlin. But and then he went on to Everton and did not have a very good Premier League career. But another player, um, when I put this as a failure, Matteo Darmian came from Italy. I mean, he just never really set the world alight. I mean, playing right back alongside Valencia, yeah, I'll put him as a failure, but he wasn't that bad. I mean, I think he's gone and done better since leaving United. I.e., he went to Inter and just won trophies, so fair on him, but wasn't a great player at United. And the player after that, I found it absolutely crazy that he came to United. Probably too too old to come to United. I mean the money was quite low on it. It was only about 7 million total, but he absolutely loves the club and can't say a bad thing about it. But I would just have to put him as a D. Bastian Schweinsteiger, arguably Bayern Munich's best midfield in history, captain, leader, legend, Germany favourite, just top player. But at United just wasn't amazing. I mean, again, it could have just been down to age, but I do remember the bicycle kick that he scored in one of the FA Cup games of, I believe it was under Jose Mourinho. Absolutely terrible, but yeah, loves the club. You'd always see him talk highly about it, but unfortunately, that won't put him in C category. He'll have to go as a failure, in my opinion. Regan Poole, again, I can't really put him anywhere. He'll just have to go with the youth prospects because I never really saw him play. But this player, I arguably think you could probably put him down as the best number 2 in football. I mean, unreal when he did play and just didn't put a foot wrong. Can't really say much about it. And he came to us on a free. So, Sergio Romero, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant goalkeeper. So, unfortunately, didn't get to keep him because it's hard to find a number 2 at the caliber that he was. But yeah, absolutely adored him. He was so good. If David De Gea wasn't at the level he was, I probably would say he would be the number 1 goalkeeper. But yeah, very good player. Now, this is talking post Van Gaal. I mean, he did win the FA Cup, which was good. But when this manager came in, I thought we're going to win the lot. He's done it at Chelsea. He did it abroad. And then he came to United. And I thought, wow. The league is ours. And when you look at the window that United had that season, you think, surely, why couldn't you do it? Because you got the 6'5", hard as F player. But again, it's just the age he came to us, albeit it was on a free, so you can't complain too much. But it was just the age and the injuries that kind of stunted him. But he was monstrous, like from day one. So you can't really fault it. Zlatan, yeah, helped us. Did miss the Europa League, unfortunately, but he he was just dominant as a striker. Him and Martial, I think even Rashford at a point as well. Then them guys just worked so well, and I think he was unreal. Yeah, it's just again the injuries that let him down. I think it's a common theme that we're facing. But the player after that, quite controversial with a lot of players and pundits, specifically Souness, but Paul Pogba. Um, yeah, a lot of money, came back to United. I'm actually kind of surprised, like Sir Alex Ferguson let this player go, considering how like touted he was to be like a world beater, World Cup winner. Unfortunately, we're not a league winner with United, but league winner with Juventus. Very successful player in my opinion, and I do think he probably is like one of the better signings post Sir Alex Ferguson that United have had. Um, it's so frustrating because a lot of players don't think he was that great. Sorry, a lot of fans don't think he was that great, but you have to look past it and you look at United's team now and think, wow, he would thrive in a team like this. Um, yeah, I think he was a success. You can argue all you want. He produced. He kept his head down. It was just Jose really got under him that one time, and as soon as he left, he flourished. Really, I feel like he was so good under Ole as well. So I'm gonna have to put him as A. Again, this is my opinion. You could put him as D for all you want, but this is my opinion. But another player that was touted to be unreal as well, but again, it's just injuries let him down. Um, I think when fit, he was like unstoppable. He was he was a bit reckless, but sometimes you want like defenders with a bit of heart. But it was Eric Bailly. Again, Rojo and Bailly as well also formed a partnership, which could have been good. Buying Chris Smalling as well. It was just Bailly just couldn't stay fit, and I think he did stay a little bit longer than he needed to. But again, when fit, he was he was really good. But you can't really say much more about just being bang average. The next player, which is quite disappointing as well, because it was a short time, and he did have a very good season before joining United. But I just think the deal that he was involved in kind of ruined his like career at United and even in the Premier League. Mkhitaryan, he came from Dortmund after having an unreal season, and when I saw that United were in for him, I was like, wow, perfect, right mid, centre attacking mid, left mid if you needed to. So it's quite a versatile player, and he did have an unreal run in the Europa League, but the Premier League was just a little bit more difficult for him, and then he just was involved in a terrible transfer that kind of just ruined his career. So I think I just will have to put him as a failure because you need a Premier League career as well as European to kind of make it in a team. If you can't do one and the other and be average, so I'm gonna have to be quite harsh on him. But Mkhitaryan, it was only 30 million, and you think this is a decent price as well. But we'll move on to the next player, which is Big Rom. So you would look for you needed a number 9 to replace Zlatan, uh, and he was probably arguably one of the most prolific and bullyish goal scorers in the league. Everton had him, and he was unreal. He was good at West Brom, even in the Premier League when he was younger. Never really got started at Chelsea at the time, so he flourished elsewhere. And yeah, when United were signing him, I thought, perfect. This is going to be the number 9 for the next 10 years. Like, he was relatively young as well. And you thought, yeah, perfect. He knows where the goal is. Couldn't do anything wrong in my eyes. But 75 million was a big price for the guy. And yeah, he scored goals, but in in my memory, he only really scored goals when we're winning, kind of like a Victor Gyökeres. It was quite similar, actually, I'd say, but I feel like Lukaku's better. But was he a failure? No, he wasn't a failure. I feel like he has to go in the C category. Um, was he better than Luke Shaw? But like under Ole, he didn't really flourish as much. I think Jose kind of he had a better stint under the Jose time. I'll never forget the PSG night as well. Buffon gifting him goals to make him look better, but yeah, C. I feel like he was just all right. Could have been better for United, really. With half these players as well, you could be better. Um, After that, a player that I wish United signed earlier. Again, similar to Schweinsteiger, he signed, in my opinion, a bit too late, and for the money as well, was quite poor, like money wise. But it was the profile that United needed, but he just needed to have a bit more legs, and it was Nemanja Matic. I would say he was better than Lukaku. I wouldn't say he was outstanding, but he did score an unreal goal to against Crystal Palace, I believe, to win the game. But yeah, it just didn't last as long. And when you're spending 40 million, you kind of want a bit of longevity. So yeah, I would say top end of C. You can't really say too much. He was outstanding at Chelsea, and you think one of the better CDMs in the league at the time as well. When you come here, carry it over. But yeah, the player after this would have been a centre back. Which did he have hype? Did he have hype? I wouldn't say so, but I feel like with by struggling with injuries and Rojo not being performance wise, you needed another centre back. So Victor Lindelof was bought in. How much was it? £31 million. Again, stayed for a very long time. Again, it was with Chris Smalling and Harry Maguire. You made a partnership with. Bit weak, I'd say. He did get bullied quite a bit by some forwards. Not the fastest, but ball carrier. Yeah. Line splitting centre back. Not too much with the passing. So I would just say low end C. Can't really say too much about it, but I feel like he should have left a lot longer, like a lot earlier than he did have. Now, I'm just going to put this player straight in there. D. Terrible. Was he worse than Falcao? No, in performances wise, but oh my goodness. Oh, again, there's still debates on who got the worst deal. Was it Mkhitaryan or was it Sanchez? And I still feel Sanchez was the worst part of the deal, costing so much money. The piano was just embarrassing, and yeah, just poor. He was already on a decline before even joining United. Um, and I feel like the director of footballs at the time, Edward Wood, just got his pants pulled down because that was I don't know who thought it was a good idea. Jose Mourinho, you're mental if you suggested this, but you really wanted Mkhitaryan out, allegedly, according to biography that Mkhitaryan had released. So terrible, terrible, terrible. Now, the next couple players is a hard one. Federico Rodriguez, Fred the Red. Fred came from Shakhtar. Now, Brazilians love playing for Shakhtar for some reason. I don't know what the link is. I'm sure there's some history behind it. But City were in for this player, so I feel like United just jumped at the gun and thought, well, if City want him, then he must be amazing. And it was Fred. I wouldn't really say he was a DM. I would say he was like a box-to-box kind of player. Was he technical? Not really. Could he pass? Not really. But it's kind of hard to pinpoint what did he actually do on the pitch. He came in for £47 million, quite a lot of money for a Brazilian midfielder. But it was so weird. Him and Scott McTominay kind of just worked under Ole. They were just runners, but yeah, I just feel like he was just. I didn't really know what he offered. Sometimes coming up with a goal, rarely an assist. It's just bang average, really, and for the money as well, quite poor. A player that Jose thought was going to be good, Diego Dallo, did come injured, and there was just a lot of like talk about him. We needed a right back at the time because Valencia was coming on. He was close to retirement at this time, and Dallo was just like, wow, okay, young wing back, yeah. But his career is just, I don't really know how to describe it. Under Ten Hag, he was good. Under Amarim, terrible. Like you'd think is a completely different person when you're watching the two players. So I would just have to put him as a bang average player. I do want him sold. I think he's not good enough for United levels, but somehow he's still employed. Um, the next player we're going for is here. I'm gonna have to scroll down a little bit because we're running out of space. There we go, running out of space. The next player on the list, we are going for Lee Grant. Again, he was a free goalkeeper. You just have to put him in there. Um, did he was like assistant manager at Ipswich or something with Kieran McKenna, which is fair play to him. I'll always remember him being in an advert for United, the hair straightener one, which was kind of funny, but yeah, didn't really play too much. I think you see him pre-season quite a bit, but that's about it. But post Jose, we move on to Ole Gunnar. Um, Jose was probably the most successful manager United have had post Sir Alex Ferguson. But Ole Gunnar was probably the fan favourite, played the best football, the least depressing football out of the lot, which is hard to do, I guess. But money was spent, and Harry Maguire was that player. £80 million. Um, I feel like he was hard done by. In a back four, struggled a little bit due to pace, but I feel like his character is very strong. He came in as a captain, got it stripped, and it's here. He works so much better in the back three. Um, I wouldn't say it's hard because in hindsight, he has improved, kind of like less mistakes and stuff like that, and is just always a leader mentality. But I don't think he's been terrible. I think he's been a bit better than average. So yeah, I'll stick him on B. I'll stick him in B just to be fair. But 80 million was quite a lot. Quite a lot. If he was less money, then people wouldn't really have anything to moan about. But it's just the finances that kind of hinder him. But another player that cost quite a lot of money that was signed was Wan-Bissaka. Now, this player, he came through at Crystal Palace and was very, very good defensively. So United thought, yes, okay, take a punt because Dallo was injured again, I believe, or wasn't performing, one of the two. But this guy couldn't go forward, so I feel like he would have to drop down a little bit because his footballing ability was just not amazing. Like defensively, and everyone would say it's like you can't beat him on a 1v1. He's locked up Mbappe, he's locked up some other PSG player, Neymar, and he's locked up some wingers and stuff, but going forward was his major downfall. And when you're spending £50 million on a right back at that like time as well, like 2019, 2020, 21, it evolved. Right backs were playing, especially with like Trent, like very attacking and stuff like that. It was just his biggest downfall. So I feel like he just has to go there. Dan James was brought in. I don't know why this guy was signed, purely because he rinsed City in an FA Cup game, I believe, but £50 million, and we kind of got the money back. Actually, made profit on, but scored a few goals. Yeah, always, he always loved playing for United, but yeah, it's just a bang average player, really. Now, this next player, arguably, you have to say the one of one. Like, is, always, will be the best player United signed post Sir Alex Ferguson. I have to say he's S tier. Every season, regardless whether it's been a bad season for United, whether it's been a good season for United, he's always performed. Unfortunately, he hasn't won as much as he would like at United. He's had chances to, i.e., like the 2 Europa League finals that he got to, like the Champions League runs that didn't do anything, Premier League. He did win a Carabao Cup and an FA Cup, but he deserves more. He is the current captain. I do think he's a leader, but not a captain. I feel like in this current squad, you would probably give it to De Ligt just to be the captain. But Bruno is a leader. Always outputs, regardless. Even if he's playing poor, he will always jam an assist or a goal or something. So he is S tier. Arguably the best player that United have signed post Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, next on the list, Hannibal Mejbri. Again, I he was brought in as a youngster, had promise, but just didn't turn out. He played a few games, but wasn't really good. He was only really good for United's under-21s, linking up with Diallo. And yeah, so I'll put him in D. And Igalo, oh my goodness, yeah, S tier. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, needed a striker at the time. Nothing was available. I can't remember who United was linked to at this time during the summer and January, but didn't get. But Igalo was only on loan. Yeah, I'll just have, yeah, D, just a loan. Never fall in love with a lone player. Now we're moving on to the Ten Hag uh, era. Came from Ajax, famous for the Champions League run that they did, beating Real Madrid as well. And one of the players who was prolific in that was Donny van de Beek. No, this was not. This is not Ten Hag, was it? This was before. Wrong era. I'm just thinking. Now Ole's second season, I believe. Ajax had a very good run. Was this the year where Ajax had a really good run in the UCL? Where they beat Madrid and stuff and just lost to Spurs? I can't remember. But Donny van de Beek was one of the prolific midfielders alongside Frankie de Jong. So when United were about to sign him, we thought, wow, we're going to get a gem of a player. Because it was only about 30 million, I believe. Yeah, around 35 million. Injuries, poor performances, D. Can't really say much more than that. He wasn't great. He had time. He even played under Ten Hag, and we thought he would get the best out of him, but just did not perform at all. Arguably, I don't know. I don't know what it was as well because he was a good player. A few injuries here and there, but yeah, just out of favour. Then comes Tellez, Luke Shaw being unreliable. You kind of needed like a fullback. Very good delivery, but again, just a bang average player. And yeah, it was only 13 million, and then he kind of left, but he just wasn't that great. I mean, I remember him being good in the Champions League, but in the league itself, not so well. Um, this player, Amad Diallo, has only really recently shone for United. I mean, Ten Hag didn't play this guy much at all, but every time he did play, he was very good. And it's really hard to judge. I don't know whether to keep him in pending, but he is moving to that age where you kind of have to kind of give your point on it. So I'll put him in C for now, like a high C, because he's been here for what, three seasons now. Yeah, he came in COVID. No, it's even longer than that. Came in COVID and has only just started playing. So yeah, I'll have to put him in C. But he could come better because he still plays for United. Um, Pelistri, yeah, another one. Prospect, but just again, not a good player. We saw him later on. Um, a player who was a big fan favorite, El Matador, wore the number 7. Could you say he broke the number 7 curse? Yes. But again, availability is the best ability. And yeah, he did struggle with injuries a bit, but he was a good goal scorer for United. And if there's a way to define him as a striker, it would be movement, because his movement in the box was perfect. And he had a very good season for United. It was just unfortunate that the Europa League was not taken home with them. But Cavani, good player. And on Onofre, can't really argue it, to be honest. But next player on there was Willy Kambwala. Again, he'll have to go in D because, yeah, didn't really play too much and left. He was just a prospect. Now, this transfer window rivals PSG's transfer window of the that era. Can't remember what season that was. Post-COVID, like 21. I have to put this guy only for his second stint in a B, because people say he he was the issue. Um, he was the issue. Like, Ole had a plan, but Ronaldo was available, and the club stepped in and bought him. He was cheap-ish, was like the 40 million mark. It was, but it's Ronaldo. You can't turn down Ronaldo, and unfortunately, it wasn't an amazing stint. But his numbers were like good for his age. He outperformed himself every game he played. I don't remember him having like a terrible game. I mean, United probably had a terrible game, but him individually um, would always perform, like as you would expect. It was quite sad for him to come to United and just not win anything, but I have to put him as a B just for his second stint. Um, this player, yep, let's stick him there. I don't need to say too much about it. Jadon Sancho, arguably the hottest English prospect that was on the market at the time. I do think United signed him a season too late. They needed to sign him that first season, but the club couldn't get it over and done with. Signed him, and he was just terrible. Performance-wise, attitude-wise, and yeah, the less said, the better, because he's still employed. Um, everyone knows that he wasn't great. There were stints of him performing. I mean, he had a couple goals and assists in the season, scoring against Liverpool. You thought was a turning point, but no. Ten Hag tried to save his career by sending him to the mountains, but he just wasn't having it, and he's the cause of his own downfall, because he's not even performing at any other club he went to. But this player, Rafael Varane, again, I'd have to say, how did we get this guy? We should have got him earlier. I mean, I remember Alex Ferguson wanted to sign him before he went to Madrid when he was a Lens player. Um, it was just unfortunate that injuries did let him down a little bit too much, but he gave everything for that FA Cup final. That was like his best performance, really. But yeah, again, good player, very solid on his day. When fit, one of the better players in the world as well. um, yeah, another goalkeeper. I'll just have to stick him in D. Yeah, Tom Heaton, just for the English quota, I'd say. Bit unfair to put him there because he is a top professional, and he probably will be a good coach in the future as well. Um, now we move on to the Ten Hag era. Okay, Malacia, non-existent. It's unfortunate because when he has played, he's been okay. He's been good. I mean, I remember the game where, was it Arsenal or Liverpool? One of those, but he was monstrous. And then that was it. You never saw him again. Um, had a bad knee injury. No one heard from him, and then allegedly the surgery was a failure, and then he's just been MIA since. So yeah, failure in my opinion, but he was cheap when we bought him. The next player, Sandro Martinez. Now, he was a bit of a breath of fresh air. I mean, him and Varane. I'll move him up a bit because he was performing. Him and Varane did make a very good duo, but I mean, of recent, he's just been so unavailable through injuries, and as I say, like availability is the best ability. I've said that many times, and it is true. You can't be a good player if you're not playing. So I will just have to put him as an average player on his tenure. Um, yeah, again, bought from Ajax, the famous players that Ten Hag brought in. Was he a bit too much? 46 million, probably. Could have got him a bit cheaper, but yeah. Hasn't been horrendous, but hasn't been outstanding. Now, another player. Do I put him in D? This is quite harsh because, yes, he died. And yes, he came back to life. And yes, he had a very good stint at Brentford. But United signing him, he was just a bit too old. He had good performances. Yes, he was a free. Yes, Andy Carroll kind of ruined his momentum, but again, like he wasn't like an out and out number like creative player. I don't really know. Like he was okay when he played, but injuries again and his age was, I wouldn't say he's too much of a failure, but he just would low end of C, if I had to be fair. It's hard because I wouldn't say he was a failure. I don't know if it's just recency bias, but unreal player for Spurs in his day as well. Now, a player that should United have bought him? Yeah. Should United have paid this much money? No. Casemiro. This season, surprisingly, unreal. Last season, horrendous. Under Ten Hag, he was very, very good. But the money side of things is just a bit sad. 60 million for like a 30-plus-year-old. Should we have sold him in the summer? Probably, but he's doing well, and he has been a good player for United in the past. But oh god, this transfer window gives me so many bad memories. Anthony, yeah, stick him in D. A lot of money, close to 90 million pounds. God, I remember seeing something that the scouts about only valued him at like 20 to 30 million, and seeing United pay him for like 75 million is just horrendous. I'll scroll down a little bit just so you can see. Um, yeah, too much money, and the loan to Betis showed he can be a good player, but just not with a United shirt on, unfortunately. Um, yeah, bad, bad window. These two can just go straight into D. Dubravka and Butland on loan. Don't really understand why either of them really signed, to be honest. Terrible. Just uh, not memorable in the slightest, especially Butland. I can't remember if he ever actually played a competitive game for United. Not off the top of my head, anyway. Um, Another couple loanings as well. Veghorst, terrible, and Sabitzer just yeah, loans, not setting the world on fire at all. But yes, um, let's go through his next transfer window, and on paper, and before they actually put the shirt on for the first time, you think, wow, we've actually made some very good signings. Mason Mount, I will put him in pending, just for now, purely because he's still at the club and he has been injured, but has the money. It's really hard to judge. Like I at this moment in time, I would say it's a failure, but every time he does play, he does look lively, but can't stay fit. So by the end of the season, if he hasn't um, stayed fit, at least got like 10, 20 games under his belt without being injured, he would sit in the C pile for me. But if that doesn't change, then yeah, he has to go down as a failure. But yeah, Onana, yeah, we all know D. Um, terrible, terrible goalkeeper. I mean, literally from day one, just mistake after mistake after mistake. And it's weird because he came from like a Champions League final and being arguably the best ball playing goalkeeper in the world, if not Europe. Very good time at Ajax as well, but very, very, very poor with mistakes. And his ball playing wasn't even that good at United. He would just pump long and not even be accurate with it. I remember seeing him a few times thinking, what are you doing? But would always talk way too much, be overconfident, and just be poor. And for the money that United paid for him, it was just terrible. Um, Hoyland, now that he's gone, I can say was a failure. It's unfortunate because his first like debut season, there was lot there. Like he FM wonder kid. Every time he played on one FM, he was unreal. In real life, there were glimpses of like him being a very good finisher, but his second stint at United was just confidence gone. Couldn't control the ball, not getting any service, and yeah, the club was right just to get rid of him before things turned worse. But unfortunately, yeah, just a failure. A lot of money spent, 60 odd million on a youngster. You have to just put it as a failure. Bayern Deer, again, another player that's just terrible. Every time he's played, he's not looked good at all, but he was only supposed to be there for being a backup and didn't cost a lot. But this next player just goes to show, do not sign anyone just because they've had a good World Cup or um, Euros tournament. Amrabat, jeez, what can I say? Other than him keeping that record alive of not losing when winning at halftime, I can't think of a single game where he was outstanding. Played right back a few times, played left back a few times. Yeah, just terrible overall. And same with Regulon as well. Just very bad loans. I mean, there was a left back in the academy who was not thriving at Madrid. Ten Hag just didn't fancy playing him. Very weird. So yeah, there we go in failures. Just terrible. And now we move on to more current players. Xerxes. Kind of out of favour this season, which is quite harsh because when he plays, he does like do well, does do things with the ball. It's just the goals don't come, unfortunately. So yeah, just pending at the moment. Um, Lenny Euro, so far unreal. Yes, the money was quite expensive for his age because he's only just turned 20. But my gosh, he doesn't look uncomfortable at all. Yeah, he had a bad injury after he came in, but that's just he's just started so well, and he's only going to get better. Um, Ligt as well. This season specifically, he has turned things around. The first season the first stint he did with us or United, it wasn't amazing, but he's turned things around, and I think for the cost of it, what was he, under 40 million? Yeah, proper leader. Again, Mazraoui, cheap, was good under Ten Hag, but started well when Ruben came in with this formation, but it's just kind of his pace is kind of his downfall, to be honest. And it's quite harsh because yeah, he was good, but now he's not, and you kind of have to put that into consideration. Just average, really. Um, hate him. Ugarte. Anti-football. So weird because he worked under Ruben at Sporting, and he was like touted to be one of the better CDMs in Europe, if not the world. Um, but he just hasn't done it in a United shirt, unfortunately. For the 42 million that he paid, yeah. Sekou Kone came in. He's a prospect. He hasn't actually played for United yet, so he's just gonna have to stick in the pending. He was rumored to be put into the first team this season, but suffered a few injuries, so I think he'll probably just go on loan. Patrick Dorgu, hard to say because we bought him in a January window, I believe. Can't remember, but he's just not. His output is kind of like his disappointments because he can't really cross the ball, but he's a very good athlete. I don't know if this formation's kind of suited for him or if he is just better in a back four. But I'm pending. He's on fraud watch at the moment though. But going next, Aiden Heaven again came to us for like £1 million from Arsenal. When he's played, looked very good, but pending at the moment because he has dropped out of favour. But I can't really talk too much. I think most of these are going to have to be pending as well. I mean, Cunha came in for a lot of money as well, 62 million. Has looked good, has looked bad. It's very hit and miss. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to stick all of them in pending so far. I mean, Mbuemo's come in and he's been S tier. Sesko's been. We're going with Mbuemo. I mean, he's won Premier League Player of the Month. He's won United Player of the Month. He's contributed and he looks like he can be an S or an A tier. But we have to give it to the end of the season to see if he will actually do this and if he can be consistent with it. But I believe he will be amongst that level. Same with Cunha. Cunha can definitely be one of these players. But Sesko. Did I even want Sesko? Probably not, especially for the money that was reported. Um, Bought him late, so it's kind of rushed in. Hasn't had too much time to develop. When he scores, it looks good. When he doesn't score, he looks bad. And now he's injured for a couple of weeks, 5 weeks or something. So he's gonna miss quite a lot of football up and coming. But we'll just see how he gets on. Diego Leon, yeah, just came as a prospect. Played a lot of youth football now. Pre-season he looked alright. He looked fiery. Don't know if he will actually become a first team player. It's kind of hard to say, but yeah, only 3 million quid. But yes, the next player is like a. I've said it before. It's like a breath of fresh air. I don't think he's lost a game when playing. He's conceded goals. Yeah, it's gonna happen, but he is just commanding, especially for a young age. He just seems reliable and doesn't talk too much in the media, just keeps it simple and just a traditional goalkeeper. And I feel like he could be up here if his performances stay as they are, but I think it's only fair to keep like most of the new signings down in the pending area. So yeah, Mount Xerxes, Kone, Dorgu, Heaven, Cunha, Mbumu, Sesko, Leon, Lemons. They're the most recent transfer signings, but overall, majority of the signings have fallen in to the failure. You can see a lot of them there. But yeah, it's not been successful. I mean, Bruno being probably the only success of a transfer post Sir Alex Ferguson, but we'll probably do this for other teams. I mean, we could do it for Arsenal post um, Wenger. We could do Chelsea under Bowley. We could do City with Pep Guardiola signings. But if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe, comment, follow us on the socials like I said at the start of the video. For now, I'm out. Ciao.